Welcome back to Backward Point Podcast, a cricket podcast about how Pakistan has failed to win a single test match at home. Today with me, as always, is my brother and co-host, Bashar Sayed.
Why on a Sunday?
It's always a Sunday, isn't it? We never get a break on a Sunday.
We can't. So we actually thought that we're at that point in the Pakistan cricket calendar where we can take a break, just, go with the flow, test matches, big home season coming up, stat pad, pile the runs up, beat Bangladesh, beat England, and cruise through all the way to the Champions Trophy. We had no idea that Bangladesh would come to Pakistan and beat us by 10 wickets.
I just don't know, as a Pakistan cricket fan, when the misery ends. Because I am genuinely just at this point at the cusp of a very bold decision with this team.
I know when it ends.
When does it end?
February 30th.
Oh my Lord. That never comes.
Never comes.
It never happens.
Before we get into anything with the podcast, this episode is proudly sponsored by Yashi Sports.
There we go. Yes.
Canada's home of cricket. We're partnering up with Yashi Sports. They've given us an exclusive discount code BP10 for 10% off your next purchase. Go to Yashi Sports, get their equipment, either online or in person if you're in Canada. I'm getting all of my equipment from Yashi Sports. We got a Yashi Sports bat here as well. More branding coming soon.
You need a new thigh pad.
I do.
You can't just keep using my thigh pad.
Yeah, because yours sucks.
And you're a sweaty person and it slides off.
You do have a Grey Nichols thigh pad.
I think you got to call Yashi and get that new thigh pad, bro.
I got to get it. And you know what I'm going to use? BP10.
You're going to use that code too?
10% off my next purchase.
There we go.
Exclusively courtesy Backward Point.
There we go. And thank you, Yashi Sports, for doing all you do for cricket in Canada and for the podcast as well. We really highly appreciate it, to be honest. We have on the agenda, Bashar, a very solemn, that was the word I was going for, not wholesome. This is not going to be wholesome at all. We have a very solemn podcast. Again, I don't know when we'll catch a break. I feel like ever since this podcast has taken a little bit of a flight, we just have not had the moment to sit back and enjoy a Pakistan win. It feels like many, many moons since we've sat here and actually enjoyed a Pakistan cricket match, be it Test, ODI, or T20. At this point, this team has failed us in all three departments, in all three formats. The 2023 ODI World Cup was disastrous. 2024 T20 World Cup, don't even ask about it. And then the past 2 years of the Test season in Pakistan has been absolutely horrid. They have failed to win a single Test match. That includes Babar's reign as captain, which if there's anything that's going to spoil his legacy, his reign in Pakistan cricket, is going to be the fact that he lost a bunch of series at home, which was you just don't hear that in modern day cricket. And then Shan Masood hasn't really stepped up to the mark either, with 4 Test matches captain and 4 Test matches lost in a row, one at home as against Bangladesh. The last time Bangladesh came this close was in 2003. I think it was the Multan Test. Pakistan had to chase about 265, I believe, and it went down to the last wicket where Inzi scored a century and a match-winning knock and basically sealed the deal for Pakistan. That was 2003. We are in 2024. 21 years later, Bangladesh is back with a bang. No pun intended. and they're out here, bro. They're chasing everything. They're making everything happen for them. And they have first-hand won a test match in Pakistan against Pakistan. I'm speechless, honestly. I woke up, I saw the result, and I just could not believe what I was looking at. I woke up because my son wakes me up every morning at 8:30 a.m. And I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to cast the last session. It's going to be a draw. It's going to be fun. I'm going to be feeding Mikhail. It's going to be fun times. Game was over 2 hours ago when I woke up. Like, what am I going to do? What is there left to do? And then I posted a story off of Backward Point's Instagram account where it was just me and Mikhail watching the highlights. And I was like, this is a very quintessential moment for me and my son right now. This is me passing down the generational trauma onto him. He's 10 months old. He has no idea what's going on. One day he will.
I think we need to protect Mikhail at this point. I don't want to pass on the generational
We
trauma.
can't protect him. It's over.
Maybe we should make him an Australian fan.
No, Canadian fan? There's misery there too. They just seem Canada seems like they can't win a single game against the USA.
Maybe we should get him into javelin throwing.
That's it. Or ice hockey. Like honestly, at this point, he's gonna go into those hockey bros, and that's probably a better life. But then again, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Where do we go? Where do we go as sports fans? There is no solace if you live in Toronto and are a Pakistani.
You mentioned backward points emergence coinciding with the Pakistan team's failure to perform in major tournaments in the last 2 years. Pakistan in the last 2 years have lost to Zimbabwe at the 2022 T20 World Cup. They lost to Afghanistan at the 2023 ODI World Cup. They lost to the USA at the 2024 T20 World Cup. And now Pakistan have lost to Bangladesh for the first time ever in test matches at home by 10 wickets. Where do we go from here now?
Brilliant stat in the notes here for Bashar. Pakistan winless in the last 10 tests at home, have not won a home test since February 2021. Was that against South Africa, I believe?
That's like, just that date takes me back to COVID times, and we're over COVID. And Pakistan is yet to win a test match at home in the last 9 test matches. This is, and actually, if you look deeply into it, this is a crazy stat. Your home test matches or your home season is supposed to be your fortress. You're supposed to dominate at home. And here is Pakistan still trying to figure out what brand of cricket they want to play. There's talks of hashtag Pakistan way, hashtag Shani ball. That's a thing apparently now.
Shani ball?
Shani ball.
Who's trying to make that happen?
Cricket folk.
No.
And Pakistan, like, I feel like Shan Masood and Jason Gillespie are trying to reinvent the wheel. Let's just go straight into it, talking about the pitch.
But you want to start with the pitch?
Let's start
Because
with
we
the
could
pitch.
dissect this in a few different ways, but if you want to start with the pitch,
I want to
let's go
start
that.
with the pitch because the pitch relates to the team selection, the performance.
And this iconic quote by Azhar Mahmood, which I want you to read when you get the chance.
So in the series preview, we talked about how it's actually insane that Pakistan is going with an all-out pace attack and going with no specialist spinner. And that took me by surprise because despite leaving how much grass you want on the pitch, it is Pakistan. The surface underneath the grass is dry, and dry pitches, they deteriorate towards day 4, day 5 of the test match. You get cracks, you get puffs of dust, you get footmarks, and that's when you see the ball turn. So for Pakistan to go through with an all-out pace attack was, for me, a red flag. And I can't believe people like you and people on the internet were like, yo, it's not an all-out pace attack. We have Salman Al-Yaga. We have Saim Ayub. Oh, even Babar Azam can roll his arm.
In fairness, Saim did take a test wicket, and it was Shakib Al Hasan. So put some respect on
like,
that guy's
I cannot believe the non-seriousness. This is a Pakistan test match playing 11. And we're like, oh, yeah, Saim can bowl. Oh, you know what? Even Babar Azam can bowl. Oh, if needed, Rizwan can also bowl medium pace. Like, what is going on?
I was not that like lucid in my remarks. I was not pushing as far as getting Babar to roll his arm over, but I did think Saim and Salman Al-Yaga, I should say, were decent. I mean, what's shocking to me is Salman Al-Yaga went wicketless the entire test match.
Bro, he is a batsman who can bowl. He's not a specialist off spinner. So
he was decent in Australia, yes or no?
He was, but again, we still had the conditions in Australia support a four pace attack.
Mm.
And he was just there for support. Here, you're relying him to be the specialist spinner when you've dropped your specialist spinner.
So who takes the blame? Is it Shani? Is it Gillespie? Is it Azhar Mahmood? Who's the one, or are 3 of them to blame? Because this was a management decision on their part. They saw the pitch. It was green top, which it was, to be fair to them. It was green top. But they come out and they're like, you know what? We're going to play 4 pacers. We want the ball to seam and swing. And we want to sort of load manage during the game. And we don't want all 3 of our pacers to bowl 40 overs. We're going to get them to bowl 20 apiece and see what happens after that.
One of the dumbest things that I heard Shan Masood say in the post-match press conference was, we played 4 seamers because what if one gets injured?
Yeah.
What would happen then?
I heard that.
Well, what if Babar Azam breaks his leg? What if Rizwan breaks his finger? Would you play 2 keepers? Would you play an extra batsman? Like if you think about what ifs, it's an endless tunnel that you go through.
Yeah.
So to be like, oh, what if one bowler gets injured? What would happen then? Like, why are you even thinking about that?
You're not reading it, so I'll read it for you. The Azhar Mahmood quote, which is, I think, iconic. And if we ever do build merch, this has to be on a t-shirt. We didn't read the pitch wrong. It just didn't do what we expected it to do.
Nice.
We didn't read the pitch wrong. It just didn't do what we expected it to do. Then this is the definition of reading the pitch wrong. I didn't get bad marks. No, I didn't get the answer wrong. It just wasn't the answer I thought it was. You failed the test, my guy. Like, what are you talking about? You read the pitch wrong. It was a completely wrong reading of what the soil was going to do, what the surface was going to be like, and you went with 4 pacers, and they literally bowled like it was one of the worst strike rates I've ever seen. It was like every 75 balls or every 60 balls at some point, 1 wicket. That's crazy. That's a crazy stat. You have the likes of Shaheen Naseem and even Khurram Shahzad, who's actually pretty good.
Wait. Desi Dale Steyn, if you want. Going at it, and nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. Day 3 was just like, I cannot believe this is a test match that we're watching in 2024. Azhar Mahmood saying that is like saying, I didn't fail the exam. I just didn't pass it.
Yeah, basically. It's insane. And like if we go, I'm just gonna open up the
even with the 4 streamers you go in with, Naseem Shah is coming back after a shoulder injury in red ball cricket. He's only played 1 first-class match. That's like a week before this test match. Shaheen hasn't played any first-class matches since his last test match in Australia. Khurram Shahzad picked up an injury last he played in Australia. And Muhammad Ali is making a comeback. So if you look at it, this is not really a strong, formidable attack. On paper, it may look that way. But in the Pindi heat, for Naseem and Shaheen and Muhammad Ali and Khurram Shahzad to be toiling in the field for about 170 overs, that's insane.
First innings, Pakistan was 16 for 3. Your boy, Abdullah Shafiq, who's sort of gone under the radar, but has also had a horrible test match. We forget about that.
For me, it's not about Pakistan being 16 for 3. It's about just the way these guys got out.
Shan Masood, in his defense, was a non-out.
His dismissal is what took me a bit back. I was like, well, we have technology, and clearly the spike on the Snicko was after the ball went past his bat.
I think the umpire thought it was just a frame glitch.
This is why I think having hotspot is also helpful.
The best. Yeah, hotspot is the best.
But what we've learned over the past few years is that technology isn't perfect. Even DRS isn't 100% all the time. There was this famous dismissal of Riley Rousseau in the PSL where there was a glitch in the DRS. It was a game versus, who was he playing for? Quetta versus Islamabad United. And there was an LBW shout reviewed, and the DRS Hawkeye was showing a completely different ball trajectory as to what the actual ball was doing.
Yeah, we had Rehan Bhai in private tell us that he was quite livid about that. And then he got an email the day after from the ICC, I believe. He was like, what am I supposed to do about this? The game is already done. It's all fairness, but Pakistan were 16 for 3, and we have sort of been beating around the bush and not saying the name Babar Azam, but Babar Azam duck after about 2 or 3 years in test matches. Second ball duck. We're going to come to Babar Azam. Don't worry. It's definitely going to be talked about because I have a bone to pick with this person. But Babar Azam 0 for 2 and Pakistan was 16 for 3. It wasn't until sort of Saim and Saud took the matters in their own hands. Saim, an impressive 56 off 98 with 4 fours and a 6.
Saim's first 50 in any form of international cricket for Pakistan. So it's a big milestone he's achieved.
I think it's the second test match, 3rd innings.
But he's also played 24 innings of T20s.
Yeah, I'm just talking about test matches right now. I know you have a Saim Ayub agenda that you wanna talk about, but as it stands in T20, as it stands in tests, it's a good start for Saim. I think it's a bright future. Just keep at it, and he can definitely become an asset for Pakistan cricket. The real game here, though, in the first innings is South Shakil and Mohammad Rizwan. 141 for Sohail Shakil, 171 for Mohammad Rizwan. This is an absolute clinic of how Test match cricket is played, especially Rizwan. His strike rate is a 71.54. He hit 171 off 239 balls with 11 fours and 3 sixes.
Disclaimer, please take these performances with a grain of salt. This is batting performances at a Pindi pitch. Somebody would not even call this a pitch. They would call this a road. Sohail Shakil needs to work on batting outside of Pakistan. I think he's made a record of, what is he, the fastest to 1,000 runs for Pakistan?
For Pakistan, yeah.
And one of the highest averages after Don Bradman. I saw a stat on
And then I
that.
think that's screwed over after the second innings, but okay.
Yeah, but and it was still there by the first innings, and for a guy from Karachi to do that, hashtag Karachi agenda was strong in this test match.
100%. I mean, Karachi agenda is always at peak, and you know us, we're there perpetrating it. I think the 448 for 6 declaration after 113 overs. What do you think about that?
I thought it was a bit early. I thought Pakistan should have scored at least 500, 550, knowing that this is a flat, windy pitch where there's nothing happening with the alleged grass left on the pitch. If anything, the thing that happens with leaving grass on the strips is that because the square isn't dry, you can't get reverse swing. Like, to get reverse swing, you need to have a dry patch on left and right of the pitch. So you can throw the ball there on one bounce, so you can sort of get one side roughed up, shine the other side, and get reverse swing. And if Pakistan even had reverse swing, like we had Naseem and Shaheen, guys who can reverse the ball pretty good, but we couldn't even get that.
That's absolutely true. The second innings as we come in, I think the 448 for 6 declaration, I think it was like accurate. I wouldn't call it early or late. I mean, obviously, retrospectively speaking, everything seems a little bit, jarring to think about. But I think the most you would do is probably let Rizwan get his double 100, declare after 50 runs. But 448 for 6, at that point, you don't look at that score and be like, Pakistan declared early. You go like Pakistan going for the win. And it was only after Bangladesh's first innings where they scored 565, courtesy of one of the best knocks that I've seen a Bangladeshi player score in a very long time, with 191 by Mushfiqur Rahim. This guy just seems like a staple for Bangladeshi cricket. He's there since I can remember watching cricket. 37 years young, this man is. He's almost in that camp with Usman Khwaja and even Saifi's around that age. Guy comes out, scores 191, man, in Pakistan in a Pindi pitch. What are you going to do with the likes of Naseem, Shaheen, Khurram Shahzad on one end?
Again, it's a Pindi pitch. It's a road.
Okay, let's talk about the third innings then. What happened?
No, I mean,
you can't just discredit.
Nothing to take away from.
I feel like you are a little bit. You got to give him the man his
most
flowers.
Test hundreds.
191 is a task in anywhere. You can say that about Science 50. Okay, fine, it was a road. He had it easier. But when you're out there sitting there for like almost a day and a half playing cricket, come on, it's more than a road at that point.
Respects.
And that's where the game kind of slipped away. They had a lead at the end of that. They had a lead at the end of that innings of almost 100 and what was it, 10, 15 runs? Yeah, something of that nature. Because when Pakistan came to bat, I don't even know. Like the second innings for Pakistan was just a wild one. A short stint, 55 overs, half a day of play. At day 5, you expect a lot more. Saeem Ayub had already returned back to the pavilion at the end of day 4.
Loose shot, 2 full to drive.
No footwork at all. Nothing happening. And let's get it, man.
Shan Masood, 14 of 37. You know what I noticed about in this test match? Looking at the body language of a lot of the Pakistan players, I don't think they like Shan Masood. I don't think they like playing under Shan's captaincy.
Okay.
And that goes back to the fact that this guy is averaging 27 in test matches.
Okay.
And he's sort of coming out of nowhere to be Pakistan's captain.
He hasn't earned it.
He hasn't earned it yet. He needs to earn the respect, and you earn respect by putting in big performances and 4th innings of test matches, scoring big hundreds when Pakistan needs it. So right now, these players just feel like this guy speaks good English, he has good communication, and that's pretty much all he has going for himself. And the Pakistani public is like, oh, his English is so good, he's such a good communicator. Make him captain of all formats, not just test matches.
I'm not in that camp where I'm just, impressed by someone.
You just said in the Bangladesh
eloquency.
preview that I love how he communicates. There's clarity, and there's
Yeah, but that
this,
doesn't mean
and there's that, and
you could
there's
have-
the English is so good.
My friend, you can have clarity and communication prowess without having good English. I'm not talking about his English. I'm talking about what his plans are. There was clarity in what he wanted to do. There was purpose in 446 or whatever it was, 445 for 6. When the declaration happened, 448 for 6. That was purposeful. He wanted a result out of it. Now, the result that he wanted was not this, but at least there is intent.
I'm not questioning his intent. I had intent playing against Mohammad Nawaz.
There we go.
I scored -1 runs against Mohammad Nawaz.
Never happened before in the state of cricket.
But the intent was amazing, right? So you need more than just intent at this level. Playing in Pakistan, 4 pacers, misreading the pitch, misconstruing what the pitch was going to behave, and justifying that in the post-match, that I think it does not sit right with me.
I don't think it was justifying anything. If anything, I think Shan Masood was one of the few captains in the history of Pakistan cricket to be like, yeah, I goofed up. We screwed up. I'm trying to think about, in the Babar era, a single instance where the man has come out and be like, I screwed up. Question to the fans. Everyone listening. Has it happened? Can you link me the time where Mr. King came out and was like, this is my fault. We screwed up. We should have finished the game. This is what I did wrong. This is what we did wrong as a unit. There we go. So you got to give props where props is due. We lost the game. Everyone's livid and upset about this, including me. But it's not, like, there was purpose to this. It wasn't just a loss at the end, like it was against the USA, where there was just, everything was happening and it just didn't feel like cricket was being played. It just felt like things were happening on the screen and it was like USA taking the game away. This was a bit different. Now, I do want to talk about Pakistan's second innings because I think there's a lot of red flags when it comes to that aspect of it. Abdullah Shafiq has gone under the radar, like I said. His first inning score was 2. His second inning score was 37.
The way he got out just baffles me.
I can't. I don't know what to do about that.
You're going down the track to Shakib. The ball is outside stumps. It's spinning away on a day 5 pitch. And it just felt at that point it was an irresponsible shot. Pakistan should have gone to draw the match. And I feel like at that point they were still trailing. And you're sort of looking at a potential innings defeat by Bangladesh. And to play that sort of a shot, speechless.
Inexplicable at that moment by Abdullah Shafiq. Saim Ayub had already gone out. No foot movement at all. Shan Masood, what are you going to do? Poke one out from outside of off, caught behind. I don't even know what to do. I felt like at that point, everybody was just tired of this test match. The way Shan Masood got out.
I'm telling you, bro, there's going to be pressure building on Shan with his own performances. And if he doesn't score big in this home series, I think there's going to be question marks on his captaincy.
I don't think they change anybody for this cycle, though. I think he's stuck. Whoever has problems, they're stuck with him until the end of 2025 World Test Championship cycle. By then, I bet Saud Shakil sort of comes up on his own. But as it stands right now, you're stuck with Shan. If anybody has a problem with that, well, take it up with him, because we'll talk about Mr. King next, which is Babar Azam.
King Babar was on a king pair.
Insane to me. First ball comes in, edges it, squared up, beautiful squared up, edges it. Lithan Das drops a tough catch, but you expect that from an international cricketer.
He took a good catch of Babar in the first inning, so you would expect him to take a good catch second innings as well.
That happens. Babar Azam has a pair against Bangladesh
at home in Pindi,
and then Pakistan probably loses by an innings. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Babar's at home in Pindi, where Babar could score a century with his eyes closed, he was on a pair.
Babar in his last 7 test matches is averaging in the early 20s. For Babar Azam, who, again, he's hyped up in the Pakistan social media circles, and he is portrayed as his infallible character, as the next big thing for Pakistan. He's touching age 30, which is oftentimes said to be a batsman's prime. We saw some of Virat Kohli's best years when he was around that 28, 29, 30, 31 year mark. Like he just went berserk in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. And we thought starting from last year with the ODI World Cup, this is going to be Babar's prime. Like he's going to score runs everywhere and anywhere, any condition, any bowling attack. And in the past 2 years, or at least a year, we've seen a deterioration in Babar Azam's batting and his form and his fitness. And what's disappointing for me of all of this is just like the modes of his dismissal.
Soft, always soft.
Dabbing towards third man, pull shot caught mid wicket,
Flick to the
down the leg side.
Yeah.
Like how? What's going on?
Yeah, it's insane. There's no cover for it, honestly. And anybody on the internet, I know there's a bunch of Babar Azam fan pages, man. Like I follow a couple of them myself, but there's no excuse for this. He has to take ownership of what is going on. Because, like we said in the previous podcast when we were reviewing this test match and this test series, there are people knocking on the door of number 4.
Kamar Ghulam.
Mohamed Herrera. Like these guys are knocking at the door and they're itching for it. They're wanting it. And if anybody thinks that they have a spot in Pakistan cricket team that is permanent anymore, newsflash, bro. Newsflash. A couple more bad forms like this, if you, God forbid, lose the series to Bangladesh, there will be massive changes. And number 4 will be one of the first to go, without a doubt.
What's going on here? Is this bad form? Is this incompetence?
Man, at this point, I don't know what to pinpoint it on because it could be a myriad of things, right? It could be stuff that's going on behind the scenes that we're unaware of as fans, as spectators, but that should never affect the game. But then at the end of the day, everybody's human. It happens. I feel like that is, I want to say 20% of what's going on. 20% of this media hype. You know, people are on Twitter that shouldn't be on Twitter. People are sending links to these guys that should not be happening. And they should not be aware of what is happening on X, on Instagram, and Facebook. That should not be of anyone's concern. That's of the other 20%, 40%. The other 40% of Babar Azam's this is mentality. There was a fire in his eyes before, and I say that with proper like I'm holding that line. Like there was a moment in the early 2020s where he was captain. He was hungry for runs. He was making runs. He wanted to score against everybody, and he did. Right? He went out there. He was scoring centuries in Sena. He was winning games against India in the World Cups. It was just a really good time to be Babar Azam because he wanted that really badly. And then something changed. I think he got complacent. I think he just started drinking his own Kool-Aid, started realizing that his hype is all because of him. And it gets to your head. It happens to everybody. But I just don't think that he has found, that's the other 40%, that's 80%. Now, what that relates to the last 20% of what is the problem of this all is that I don't think he's found a way to get out of that. The last 20% is that he's stuck in his ways. I don't think, this is all speculation. I don't think he's seeking help. I don't know if he's talking to anybody. He had a friend in the team. He's no longer his friend. There is definitely a divide in the Pakistan cricket team. It's quite visible. And not only that, he took the inexplicable decision of taking captaincy back and creating further rifts between him and his star players. At that point, if you think that people don't like Shan Masood, maybe in the team people dislike Babar more. He dropped a sitter, Mushfiq Rahim, 150. He scored on 41 runs more. Take that out, Pakistan is in a better position at the end.
I feel like Babar Azam's entire goal in his career was to get to number 1. You listen to one of the specials that ICC did for him in the 2019 ODI World Cup, and his goal was to become the number 1 batsman. He did it. He was the number 1 ranked batsman. In ODIs, in tests, he was top 5. In T20s, he was number 1. And I think at one point, he was the only batsman to be in the top 5 rankings of all format. And I feel like once Babar got to the top, he didn't realize that in order to be a great player, a legend of the game, you need to stay at the top. And I think that's what differentiates Virat Kohli and the rest.
I think so. I think that that's a valid argument. But at this point, with Babar's prime years in front of him right now, as it's happening, him scoring 22 off 50 in the third innings is just inexplicable to me. Right now, Babar should have come out, scored a big 100, 130, 140, got this 146 total to 300, either draw the match or in the last session given batting to Bangladesh and see what they could have done. You know, that's what I expect from your prime batsman. Not sitting on a pair. That's insane to me. And it's not even like sitting on a pair in Lords or Birmingham where the pitch swings and there's seam movement and it's hard to bat there. This is Pindi. You have misread the pitch. You understand this pitch is flat, like a road, like pavement. This is how you're gonna play. Like he was definitely troubled by Nahid Rana, who's bowling phenomenal rockets, 145, 148, and it was troubling him.
I don't think we've gotten to the point where we've actually appreciated the way Bangladesh has played. And I think it starts off from their pace attack. I've been following Bangladesh cricket quite closely, and I think they've got some really good bowling talent right now, especially with the pace department. Shoreful left arm bowler who swings the ball back in. Hassan Mahmood, who has this very smooth action, repeatable action, balls good lines, good lengths at decent pace. Taskin Ahmed is injured. He was playing a first-class match in Islamabad for Bangladesh A. He should be fit and back for a second test, which will further improve and strengthen their pace attack. And then Nahid Rana, hands down the fastest bowler to come from Bangladesh. I think he even clocked in one delivery at 149 kilometers, and he was consistently bowling over 145 kph, which I really haven't seen any Bangladesh bowler do in a long time.
None of the Pakistani bowlers clocked 140 plus.
Average speed?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Naseem was the fastest, like around 138.
138, but like that was his average speed.
Yeah.
At one point, Naseem was at the low 130s. Mohammad Ali was bowling high 120s, and Shaheen was mid 130s to low 130s.
But also, they used Nahid Rana in bursts of spells to bowl quick. That's what he was doing in the team. He was sort of like Bangladesh's Mark Wood, where he would come in, bowl 3-4 over spells, and then go off.
Yeah, he bowled 6 overs, took the very important wicket of Babar Azam, and got hit for 30 runs. It doesn't matter at the end how many runs you got hit for. You got Babar Azam out, who, like we have discussed, has gone through one of the worst patches I've seen in a while. I think when we look back at Virat Kohli's rough patch, I say that with inverted commas, he was still averaging over 45 in ODIs. It was just the centuries that weren't coming. And Babar hasn't scored a test century in about 2 years. More than that, actually, 2.5 years. The last time he scored it was in December 2022 against New Zealand.
Yeah. I went to watch the next test match in Karachi.
Watched that one after that, yeah. And it's been a while.
August 30th will be the first anniversary of Babar Azam's drought of no centuries in international cricket. His last century was, I believe, against Nepal in the Asia Cup last year.
Yes, 156, I believe, or 150 something.
Yeah, nothing to be really proud of.
Yeah, that was that, and the one before that was a while ago as well. So it's a red flag at this point. Anybody who's out there trying to make sense of this by deluding themselves into believing that this is more than just a outlier stat, look into that. Things are tougher than it seems. And for Babar Azam, if he wants to stay at number one, if he wants to stay in the Pakistan cricket team, he has to step up.
And he has to step up with respect to centuries. Test match centuries for a batsman is the currency at how they are judged by at the end of their career. You talk about Sachin and you're like, okay, Sachin Tendulkar, he has 50 centuries in test matches. Or Brian Lara, I think, has 3,400 in test matches. Yunus Khan has 3,400 in test matches. So what I'm trying to say is that the runs you score and the test match hundreds you have is how you are rated as a test batsman. And as it stands right now, Babar Azam has 900s, 6 of them in Pakistan, I believe 1 in Sri Lanka, 1 in the UAE, and 1 in Australia.
Yeah. None in England, which is crazy to me.
None in England, none in New Zealand, none in South Africa. So once you go around these SENA countries, Babar still has a long way to go to prove his mantle in this format.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's only played 53 matches at this point. I hope he gets to play more than that. But as it stands right now, Like I said, people are knocking at that door, and Babar has to step up. Simple as that. There cannot be any excuses at this point. And if he needs the time off, he should have taken the time off. Like,
Well, he had 2 months off.
yes, but look at this. Look at the position that Babar Azam was in, right? So you're playing a test match at home against Bangladesh. If you perform poorly, oh my God, I can't believe you performed horribly against Bangladesh at home, which is what we're talking about. Secondly, if you do score twin centuries, oh, so you scored twin centuries against Bangladesh at home at Pindi? So there's no win-win for Babar Azam at this point.
Well, right now he hasn't scored, and he hasn't scored at all.
No, I'm just saying, like, hypothetically,
Which is like the worst scenario. Like, you can't even score runs against Bangladesh at Pindi.
That's what we're talking about, right? Like, if he performs poorly, we're on his case. Like, this is Bangladesh, and your moniker online is Zimbabwe. Like, people make fun of you for making runs off small teams. Do what you do. Nope. My laptop's dead, by the way, which is fine because I was fuming. I wanted to throw it anyways. But it was one of those things where I don't know what to do about the Babar Azam situation. I'm genuinely terrified of how this will play out because I don't think this comes back. Pakistan has a slew of games at home. They have another test match with Bangladesh. Then they have 3 against England. And England will not be easy. Ben Stokes literally only plays test cricket because of this. He's going to come out fiery, really pissed off, wanting to win everything. And that'll be a tough series anyways. Shan Masood is out there trying to prove himself as captain, getting his medal in. That's tough. Shiny ball is happening apparently. Like, nobody gave me that memo, but sure. And you have your fast bowlers that play test match after a year. It's horrible. It's the worst thing I've seen in Pakistan cricket in a very long time. In all 3 formats, Pakistan has taken a nosedive, and it's inexplicable. I don't know what words to use to form these emotions. I was so worked up in the afternoon that I genuinely was upset the entire day. Test match cricket is the purest form of cricket for people like us who are fanatics of the game. We watch this game religiously, and we respect test match cricket religiously. And I was looking at the banter online, and people were just like, what is happening in Pakistan? How is this the pitch that is being created in 2024 when games are ending in 4 days with the result? What is happening?
I think people who watch test cricket are rare in the cricketing fraternity, and most people only tune into cricket during the PSL or World Cups. Especially in World Cups, Babar has been a no-show in the past about 2 to 3 major tournaments, Asia Cups or ODI World Cups, T20 World Cups. And that is the recent impression of Babar Azam that is imprinted on them. Like, I doubt a lot of people will even watch this podcast compared to the viewership we get during the World Cup. And it's the same thing with the Pakistan team. And people who are casual watchers only watch World Cups or big major events, Pakistan versus India matches. And Babar hasn't really stepped up in those matches. But yeah, going forward, there's a long way to go. Second test match is being played right here at Pindi. There's still construction happening at the Karachi Stadium. And it's going to be interesting to see how Pakistan changes their playing 11.
Do they bring in Abrar?
Will they take the grass off the pitch and the square so that we can have some reverse swing, we can have more spin on offer, and how this pitch will actually behave. Talking about Abrar, this is interesting. Once this whole debate was happening regarding Pakistan not playing a specialist spinner, it made me think, why hasn't Pakistan produced a proper spinner since Yasir Shah? Right now, Abrar Ahmed, yes, he is a specialist spinner, but he's more of a finger spinner. And it's incredibly difficult for a finger spinner to play test matches. Your fingers get hurt. You start bleeding from your fingers. You need incredible strength from your fingers. And Abrar is also coming off of an injury, which he suffered in Australia. So is he fully fit? Do we have any backups of Abrar Ahmed? We took Sajid Khan in Australia. Wasn't really effective. We had Numan Ali, looked like a stock baller. Mohammad Nawaz was in the team for a while. And it begs a question, like, we haven't had a proper spinner since Saeed Ajmal, maybe Abdur Rahman, Zulfikar Babar was even effective. And then Yasir Shah was our mainstay go-to spinning option in all conditions. So since Yasser's decline, we haven't had a proper spinner turn up in the domestic circuit or for Pakistan.
Yeah, that's a cause for concern. We've mentioned that I think we talked about this in the 2023 World Cup campaign, where we just had Shadab and uh, Osama Mir.
And
we were like,
Nawaz.
yeah, but we like two of those are all rounders, and one of them is basically the same thing as Shadab. Where's everybody? Where are the other spinners? And that's when the problem started. And we mentioned that there is a lack of specialist spinning prowess going on in Pakistan, especially with abroad. If you're a finger spinner, a mystery spinner, you have a shelf life. It's very small. Maybe you have good 4 to 5 years, and then you get picked out. That's what happened to Ajanta Mendes. That's what happened to a lot of the big ones that you can think about. Right now, the one that's going really, the one that's hard to pick off is Tikshana. But in a few years, he'll be picked out, and then he'll be one of the ones that we're good at a time. So you can effectively use abroad maybe for the next 24 to 36 months, and then there'll be a time where his edge will sort of start to waver, and people will pick him out. And in that moment, you know who doesn't get picked out? A wrist spinner. Anil Kumble had a long career. Afridi, Shane Warne. You just named them. Strepson right now.
Danish Canadia.
Canadia had a great test
fourth
career.
highest test wicket taker for Pakistan in history.
And that's what Pakistan is missing in both departments, an off spin and leg spin. They don't have a genuine wrist spinner. They have one mystery spinner that they don't play. By the way, for the people wondering, Abrar got let go. He played the Shaheen game in Islamabad, took 4 wickets for about 100 runs.
Yeah.
So something's got to give. Something happened there that we weren't aware of. I think Abrar comes back into this team. Pakistan should go for the kill for the second test. Do not go for the draw. If Pakistan loses series, that'll be insane to me. Like, forget the WTC. That'll be insane on like a molecular level of Pakistan's cricket's fabric. Not saying Bangladesh is a bad team or they don't deserve the series win. I'm just saying that this will be catastrophic when it comes to Pakistan cricket on the base level if this happens.
Yeah. Let's see how the boys come back in the next test. Even if they win, it'll be 1-1. But chances of a draw in Pindi are quite high. And I think even if Bangladesh gets a draw, a test series win against Pakistan at their home ground is going to be a massive, massive W for them.
Yeah, I think so. We got to cover a lot of topics. What do you think? Do we miss out on anything?
I'm not sure. I think that's what was on my mind as I was watching the match. The first 4 days, I didn't even bother watching the match because it was just so boring.
Yeah.
I like to see test cricket in Australia, in New Zealand, in England, where there's support for the bowlers. There's a Duke's ball in England at least. So
even test match cricket in India is fun to watch because, okay, it's not fast bowling paradise, but they make pitches that have results in them. Even if it's spinning.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, even if it's spinning.
They've got an attacking spinning field. They've got slips and silly points and leg gullies.
Something's always happening.
Something's happening.
This was just 4 days of just insane
deadness. And even India, they used their own test match ball, an SG ball at home, so they have some advantage. A Kookaburra ball, it's an average ball for test cricket.
Yeah.
Right?
I did hear
it works in Australia because they have better supporting pitches. But in Pakistan, it's just not much happening.
I heard that they are importing Dukes and trying to do Kookaburra and Dukes in the domestic circuit and see how that plays out accordingly. With the new curator in and with Gillespie in charge, they want to start mixing things up. So Duke's ball is coming in Pakistan domestic circuit. Fact check me on that, but
I heard it's what I heard is that it's a custom made Duke's ball for Pakistan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's going to help. Let's say the Duke's ball does come in and games finish in like a 4-day match finishes in 2 days. Then you have a scenario where your batsmen aren't getting game time at the pitch.
Yeah.
And there was a few seasons of domestic where they made green tops and a 4-day game is finishing in 1.5 days, in 2 days. And that was an era where we hardly had any proper batsmen develop or even bowlers, because if batsmen aren't facing lots of deliveries, they're not getting better. If bowlers aren't bowling long spells, they're not improving. So there needs to be a bit of a balance.
Yeah.
But the first question, I think what they need to ask is, what brand of cricket does Pakistan want to play? How do they want to take advantage of the home conditions? And that's also what Naseem Shah was saying in one of his post-match pressers. You look back at some of the spells that Shoaib Akhtar or Waqar Yunus bowled in Pakistan, and one thing I've noticed is that they used to always eliminate the pitch. Like they would take the pitch out of the equation. They'd bowl Yorkers, they would bowl slower ones, reverse swing, short stuff, and that's how they would get batsmen out. They would clean up the tail, quick, fast, in-swinging Yorkers, set the batsman up, and I think probably that's how we should play our cricket. I don't know, unless we take a long time to actually develop and confirm that this will be a green top pitch. It's going to behave as green top pitches do. Then I'm fine with that. But Tony Hemming, what's the name?
Yeah, something of that nature.
Yeah, he just came into Pakistan setup and let's give him some time to understand Pakistan's pitches, and let's get him to also communicate with our current curators. Because even when Ramiz was chairman, he wanted to have more attacking and supportive pitches, but that never happened.
He went about it the wrong way with drop-ins, and I think ingrown pitches, I believe that, again, pitch science is something completely different. And I would love, again, I've been saying this, would love to have a curator on board the podcast to talk about it. But I have this one final message. Fire the guy who told you to bowl first. Sorry, fire the guy who told you to get four pacers, because that guy has no idea what's going on under the surface. And just because it looks green, don't mean it is. I think that's a good way to end it, right?
Let's go.
All right. Thank you very much for everybody watching. Honestly, I'm not surprised if this becomes one of our top viewed pods. This usually happens when Pakistan loses. I think we were pretty subdued. I don't think we went with any extra teeth at anybody, and you won't ever see us going personal or attacking somebody unfairly just because we want to get clicks. That's not our vibe. Thank you for tuning in. Please let us know what your thoughts are when it comes to why Pakistan teams is sucking right now. We generally read all the comments, and we'd love to reply to them. Click subscribe. Check out the Patreon. We did have a call booked. I'm glad that the call did not happen. We had to postpone it for reasons, and it'll happen next week. But at this point, all we can do is pray and hope that Pakistan make it out of this doldrum, and then we have England coming in October, which is going to be great. Pakistan, hopefully you guys find a way to make it back. We're going to be back here for the preview of the next test soon. Backward point out, man.
Cheers.